The Kepler 442 refugee camp stretched across the scorched plains like a wound that refused to heal. Thousands of displaced souls from a dozen worlds huddled under makeshift shelters, their homes destroyed in the Varaxian expansion. Jack Martinez, a human aid worker with the Interstellar Relief Corps, and had seen too many camps like this one, places where hope came to die slowly under twin suns. He moved through the crowds with practiced efficiency, distributing ration packs and medical supplies. The universal translator implant behind his ear buzzed constantly, converting the babel of alien languages into comprehensible speech. A Thurlian mother thanked him in clicks and whistles. A Dendari elder nodded with all four of its eye stalks. Jack returned each gesture with tired professionalism. That's when he saw her. The child sat alone near the perimeter fence, small and impossibly still amid the camp's chaos. She couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old by human standards, a girl with dark hair matted with dust and eyes that held far too much understanding for her age. What struck Jack immediately was her clothing. Beneath the grime and tears, her garments shimmered with a quality that didn't belong in a refugee camp. "Hey there," Jack said softly, kneeling beside her. "What's your name?" The girl looked up at him with those ancient eyes. "Anna," she whispered in perfect standard galactic, though her accent carried aristocratic tones Jack had only heard in diplomatic channels. "Where are your parents, Anna?" "Gone." The single word carried the weight of galaxies. Jack had heard that word 1,000 times in 100 camps, but something about this child was different. The way she held herself, the careful dignity in her posture despite the dirt and fear, it spoke of training, of breeding, of something far beyond the ordinary. Over the following weeks, Jack took Anna under his protection. The IRC had protocols for unaccompanied minors, but the bureaucracy moved slowly, and Jack found himself unwilling to surrender the child to the system. She was remarkable in subtle ways. She picked up languages with supernatural speed. She could calculate complex mathematics in her head, and sometimes, when she thought no one was watching, she would trace symbols in the dust, symbols that made Jack's blood run cold when he finally recognized them. They were royal ciphers of the Aldebaran Empire. Aldebaran Empire had ruled a quarter of the known galaxy for 3,000 years until its sudden collapse 8 months ago. The royal family had been slaughtered in a brutal coup led by the Varaxian hegemony. Or so every newsfeed across civilized space had reported. The massacre had been complete, they said. No survivors. But Jack was staring at a survivor. He ran genetic tests discreetly, using a medic friend who owed him favors. When the results came back, Jack had to sit down. Anna's DNA matched the Aldebaran royal bloodline with 99.97% certainty. This child, this quiet girl eating nutripaste in a refugee tent, was Princess Annalise Aldebaran VII, the Empire's missing heir. Jack's hands shook as he read the report. If the Varaxians discovered Anna's survival, they would stop at nothing to finish what they'd started. If the remnant loyalist factions found her first, they would use her as a weapon to restart a galactic war. And if opportunists learned of her existence, she would become the most valuable kidnapping target in the universe. For 3 days, Jack debated what to do. The right thing, the legal thing, would be to contact the Galactic Council and place Anna in protective custody. But Jack had worked in enough war zones to know how quickly protective custody became political asset. Anna would disappear into a maze of power players and ancient grudges, losing whatever remained of her childhood. He made his decision on the 4th day. "Anna," he said, sitting across from her in his quarters, "I know who you are." The girl's eyes widened, then filled with tears she'd been holding back for months. "Please," she whispered, "please don't send me away. They killed everyone. My mother, my father, my brothers. I watched them die. I only escaped because my governess hid me in a cargo container." Jack pulled her into a hug as she sobbed against his shoulder. "I'm not sending you anywhere you don't want to go," he promised. "But we need to get you somewhere safe. Somewhere they'll never think to look." That's how Princess Annalise Aldebaran VII disappeared for the 2nd time. Jack used every favor, every contact, and every trick he'd learned in 20 years of humanitarian work. He falsified documents, bribed officials, and called in debts from smugglers and information brokers. Within a week, Anna became Anna Martinez, Jack's adopted daughter, complete with fabricated birth records and genetic markers. Masked by experimental medical technology, they relocated to Earth, humanity's homeworld, considered a backwater by most galactic powers. Jack took a teaching position at a small university in rural Montana. They lived in a farmhouse with a view of mountains, about as far from galactic politics as one could get, while still remaining in known space. Anna adapted with remarkable resilience. She attended the local human school, made friends, and learned to ride horses. At night, Jack taught her the true history of her empire, not propaganda, but the real story of her family's triumphs and failures. He taught her that power came with responsibility, that being royal meant serving, not ruling. Years passed. The galaxy moved on. The Varaxian hegemony consolidated power but grew complacent. Remnant Aldebaran loyalists scattered to the galactic winds, their cause fading into legend. On Anna's 16th birthday, she and Jack sat on their porch watching the sunset paint the mountains gold. She was taller now, confident, educated, but still carrying that core of dignity Jack had recognized in a dusty refugee camp. "Do you ever regret it?" Anna asked. "Giving up your career to hide me?" Jack smiled. "Anna, I spent 2 decades watching humans be the galaxy's janitors, cleaning up everyone else's messes, always arriving after the killing stopped. But the thing about humanity, we don't see lost causes. We see potential. You're not just an empire's heir, you're a chance for something better." Anna nodded slowly. "When I'm ready, when you're ready," Jack agreed. "You'll decide what that something better looks like, not as a weapon, not as a symbol, but as yourself." In the distance, stars began emerging in the darkening sky. Somewhere among them, a galaxy turned, unaware that its future was being shaped in a Montana farmhouse by a humanoid worker and the child he'd refused to abandon. And that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all.